What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Unique Mazik, and I have the privilege of being the guest host of SimHangout number 86. I welcome anyone from Sim Nation who is around and anybody who is not a part of Sim Nation and is totally unaware with what's happening. But we are live here, and I've already introduced myself, so I want to make sure that I introduce my esteemed panel. If you're wondering why I'm hosting and why you might be looking and say this is the wrong bald-headed black man. He does not have enough facial hair, and there's not enough gray in his beard, and his voice does not sound like he should be doing mixtapes. So there's a difference. There's something going on here. And Bizarre did not remove the voice modulator from his voice. He did not shave down his beard. None of that happened. Okay. He's not here right now. He's taking care of business. And when I say business, whenever you say somebody's taking care of business, that means don't ask about what it is. Okay. So he's taking care of business. So I am hosting in his stead, and I got with me two gentlemen who y'all should already know, but in case you don't, they're going to introduce themselves anyway. Can you guys go from left to right?
I don't know what direction you're looking at the screen, man.
Hey, I'll go first, Nelson. I'll let you go.
Don't say something first. That's why I said that. You guys,
as everybody knows, Czar calls me Matty Ice from Houston, Texas, host of the Unquestionably Raw podcast. Happy to be here. I'm going to keep it short and simple.
All right. And we got my man with us, Nelson Blake. Can you talk to the people, please?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nelson Blake II, aka Books, Sim Nation Books. If you with me on PlayStation 4, happy to be here. Thanks for hosting us this week, Mazik.
Not a problem at all. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't make a fool out of myself.
You the man. You got this.
And everybody that is associated with me, and But I gotta tell y'all, I don't know if we're starting a little late or we're starting a little early. It felt like I was a little late. I guess we started about 9:11, 9:10, something like that. So, I don't know. But I'm gonna tell y'all why I was a little bit late, and I'm also sending out a little bit of a tweet as I type and as I speak. So this is basketball story. So y'all just prepare yourself. So this week has been the most basketball I have been personally involved with in a very long time. So outside of the normal watching of the game that I do and all of that kind of stuff, I coach my son's 4th through 8th grade team. And if you are, if you listen to the show or watch the show, then you probably already know that, right? So I started on Tuesday. So Tuesday we had a game. And I got to tell y'all all of this because it's quite insane. And you guys feel free to chime in at whatever's happening. But we play this team, right? Now, I'll let you guys know. We're in a Christian league, right? So there's a couple things that's a little different, some stuff is a little different, right? So we're playing this one team and we're beating them. We're beating them really bad, right? I'm talking about really, really bad, right? And it was I think it was 30-7 or something like that, right? We're thrashing these kids. And they're not very good. So at one point I stopped pressing, right? And I empty my bench, right? For the most part. I put all of my younger kids in who barely ever get a chance to play. But what I do is I keep my best player on the floor, and I kept another ball handler on the floor that happened to be my son. My son's able to handle, he's a secondary ball handler. So I tell them, my son and my best player, I say, well, don't shoot the ball. Just facilitate, get the other kids shots who normally can't get shots, right? So because this is their time to try to score. Well, at the end of the game, we win the game 42-7, right? So the other coach is mad because he says that I had no business playing my best player the whole 4 quarters because we were beating them by too much. So I'm like, well, dude, he didn't shoot. And he said he did shoot. He scored in the 4th quarter. I'm like, okay, I don't remember that. He said, and he was blocking shots. I said, so were we supposed to tell him to just stop playing basketball? They're 11. 10, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You know what I mean? They're all kids. Was my thought. I mean, you know, I don't know what I mean. What do you guys think about that?
It kind of goes. Go ahead, Nelson.
No, you go. You go first. You go first.
Oh, I was gonna say this kind of always. I know I mentioned it in the chat. I think last week. It kind of goes back to that whole everybody gets a trophy thing. Like 6 years old, okay, give the kids a trophy. But when they start getting 10, 11, 12 years old, as you know, Brian, they start ranking these kids when they're 11, 12 years old. They have to learn how to lose. And this whole, let's go easy on it doesn't work. You have to teach these kids to be competitive. You know, we can't feel sorry for them. If they're not good enough, let them know they need to get better. I know it may sound harsh, but I'm not saying it's beat. It just makes no sense to me why we got to be so nice to them.
I know this is a weird take for this show, but hear me out. It's just sports.
Yes.
Ain't nothing happening to them. Yes. It's not like it's a boxing match and one kid is getting knocked out and you just like get him again. It's just sports. Ain't nothing happening to them.
Yes.
Hit him in the mouth. Hit Billy square in the eye.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me because here's the thing I don't like about it. You tell the winning team, do something different than what you teach these kids to do for this amount of time. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Now, I do think there's nothing wrong with getting all of the bench players in and teaching them and, you know, letting that be their opportunity. But the thing is, it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. Because if you leave the 1 or 2 good kids in the game, then you have to run your stuff. Then they don't shoot and they kind of dial it back. But if you put your 5 bench players in, they should be forced to play as hard as the starters, which might still lead to more of a shellacking. So you can't protect these kids from losing games. The whole point is for them to get better and for them to learn that when you lose a game, that's it. You lost the game. That's information on what you need to do to get better, how far you are from where you want to be. Suck it up. Everybody loses, including the kids who just beat you.
Yeah, I couldn't have. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, dude, I stopped pressing. We didn't even play defense above the 3-point line anymore. That's a rule that they have. If you're up by 20 in the second half, you can't play defense above the 3-point line. So we didn't do that. Terrible. So we didn't. So we're supposed to just let them drive to the basket and not block any shots, or is he only not allowed to block shots because he's the best player? How ridiculous! I wanted to stop in the middle and say, "Do you not feel that this conversation is ridiculous?" I mean, at some point,
essentially, what he was telling you is, "I don't want your team to play defense.
No, I want you to let my kids come back." Is what you basically were saying. And I'm like, he was like, "No, we don't need." He said, "This is a Christian league. We don't need to beat anybody 42-7." I said, tell them to make more shots.
Right. You ain't telling them to only score 7 points.
Right. I mean, dude, like
that's on him. He did that.
Like, I don't know why. And I've been a Christian. I've been of Christian beliefs my entire life. But that don't mean that you. Right. What does that mean? Like, what? Why does that mean that? I don't understand that.
You ain't having to beat the other kids up.
Yeah, I don't understand why that means that. You know what I'm saying? And it's, dude, I'm telling you, my first year coaching, we lost every varsity game by at least 24 points. Mm-hmm. Every time, right? But because I only had 1 8th grader, and he was like space cadet. So I only had 1 8th grader, and I had a bunch of 4th and 5th graders, right? Just to be totally honest, right? I had a bunch of 4th and 5th graders. We got punched in the mouth every single game. But you know what? That same year, on their level, on the junior varsity level, they went to the championship game. They lost in the championship game, but they went there. The next year, we went undefeated, won the junior varsity championship. Same group of kids, and then instead of losing every varsity game, we won half of the varsity games. It built their character. It built their ability to overcome adversity. It built all of that. And I don't understand why you are trying to protect them from getting the beat. So to let them hold that L. Hold it.
Exactly.
You know, hold that L. Everybody's got to hold it at some point.
And here's the thing. Young kids, if they can't handle a loss and they can't handle getting beat maybe one game by 40 and they cry, whatever it is, maybe they're playing the wrong sport, right? Maybe basketball's not for them.
I'm going to tell you like this. I've told my son this. I said, you should never like losing, but you should always be able to handle it.
Mhm.
That's the only people who don't care about losing is losers. that's the only people who don't, because those are the only people who's like, oh well, we lost, whatever, freaky deaky. And I mean, but if you gotta, I want you to care, but I don't want it to make or break you. You know what I'm saying? Be able to take that L and be like, okay, I took that L. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna try to get better this next time, so I'm not take that L no more. That's all, man. That's all. I'm not trying to crush no spirits and that, whatever. But so today or yesterday, we played in the JV tournament. We won both games to win the championship. That's tomorrow at 4. Y'all pray for us. And then today we played.
Dang, that bad?
No. I mean, just hey, send up positivity. That's all. But and then so today we did the varsity side and we lost the first game, won the second game. So we're playing for third place tomorrow. We got to win a couple games. So let's see what happens, man. But I want to tell you guys, man, I'm not gonna get specific, but I've told people this, man. The parents are the worst thing about youth sports.
Mhm.
Easy. It's not the kids, man. It's not other coaches. It's not even the refs. It's always the parents. I mean, dude, like some of the stuff that the parents do, you just like, really, bro? You just gonna coach him in the middle of the game, huh? I'm gonna tell him to do this. You gonna tell him to do that, just in the middle of the game. So he the only one know what you talking about. Knowing his teammates don't know nothing about what you saying, but you telling him everything you was telling him on the ride over. And then it never fails. A kid to get coached by a parent on the sidelines, you can almost bet they're gonna take the next shot that next time they touch the ball, they're gonna shoot. Because that's what they mother or father just told them to do. Whether it makes sense or not. I'm like, this dude, one year, I had a kid go and get a Gatorade out of the stands in the middle of the game. His parents said, come here. Middle of the game, Jack. He runs over there.
How old are
Last year, he was in 6th grade.
About 10 years old?
Yeah, 11, 10 or 11. 11.
That's too old for that, man. He's gonna be in high school in the blink of an eye. You teaching him this? That's crazy to me.
I said, "What in the blue devil is going on?" And I just all I did was I just stood there and looked. I said, "Oh well." Are you finished? Is your thirst quenched?
I gotta get context here.
Yeah.
Did he leave the court while they were playing and running to get the drink?
Man, I'm telling you.
Because if he left the bench, okay, but that's horrible. But he was on the floor.
The kid is a beast, right? He's a beast. She said, "Come here." He went over there and got a drink. I just stood there and looked. I was dumbfounded. Now, I would give them credit though. They have very few of those issues. They hardly ever do anything like that. That was their one crazy moment. But I'm telling you, it's that kind of stuff, man. You just be sitting there like, oh wow. That's what we're gonna do, huh?
They definitely coached much different when I was a kid. That's for sure. I actually didn't play Little League basketball, but I did play Little League football, funny enough. And it was very, very strict and organized. Like they didn't have no parents messing around, and you had to do exactly what the coach said at all times. No deviation. Once you put that uniform on, he was dad, he was mom, he was Jesus, he was God, and he was the devil. You know what I'm saying? He was even the chief of police, and you did it 100%. No questions asked. And that gave him the authority to make us better players and teach us like really great values. It was the same thing in martial arts class.
Yeah, man, dude, I'm telling you, man, it's beyond belief, man. It's beyond belief, dude. I'm like, I don't know, but
these parents just have to realize real quick. These parents just have to realize it is not a democracy; it's a dictatorship, right?
It really is, man. And here's the thing. I know that they all know how much I love those kids. I know they know that. I know they know it, right? I love those kids, and I wouldn't. And I will tell them when they screw up, but I will be the first one patting them on their back, giving them a hug, giving them dap, whatever, when they do great. So I know they know that. So, but the one thing I was telling this one parent, I was like, see, your number one responsibility, your number one focus is your child. And I totally understand that. But my focus as a coach is the whole team. It's all of the kids. So you come here wanting to see your child have a great game. And yeah, y'all want to win. You want them to win too. I come here wanting to have the kids make sure they had fun, make sure they didn't get hurt, and also make sure that they won. That's what those are all three things I have to be focused on. And I'm like, dude, my son plays on the team. If I was really wanting to be like that, he would never sit down. You know, and most varsity games, my son's in 6th grade, so he's not in varsity yet. So most varsity games, he don't even play. But he's eligible, and I could throw him out there. He can do some things like I played him today. He knocked down a 3 from the corner. He made a driving layup. Got fouled. Could have had an and one. If he wasn't smiling so much, he might have hit the free throw. But you know what I'm saying? He was cheese from ear to ear because he played. He came in and gave really good punch off the bench. But I'm like, dude, so I don't understand why you think I'm gonna stop everything for your child, and I ain't doing it for my own. Like, are you high? Like, stop smoking that because it's bad for you. I don't know. I just don't get it, dude. I don't get it. But anyway, and that's probably why I'm a little hoarse because I was yelling today, yelling at a kid, grab the ball. If I see another kid do a Karch Karai and just tap the ball, I said, if you don't grab that ball, man, I'm like, dude, it was blowing me. It was just really blowing me. But
that's why I don't coach teams. I just do the skill stuff with the kids. Don't put me. I'm not coaching any teams. I don't want to deal with that, and I don't want to deal with parents.
I'm telling you, you don't. All right, so let's move on to we talk about. There's been a lot of fights in the. I don't even know if I should say a lot. There's been more than we had become accustomed to over the last maybe 10 or 15 years. So, like, Nelson, like, what are your thoughts about? I think what were there, 2 or 3 in the last?
I mean, you had Ibaka, right? You had Serge Ibaka.
Yeah. You had what's his name who swung on Jellicoe.
Aaron Flalo slung on.
Yeah. And didn't Blake Griffin kind of bump D'Antoni?
Well, they yelled, but they went behind the scenes also.
All that foolishness in the locker room.
Yeah, there might have been something else too. There might have been one more thing. There's something else that somebody got into a little dust up. But either way, it's been a lot lately. People are saying tensions are kind of high on the court because people aren't feeling respected, and what they're saying is like, they feel like they can't talk to the refs because we have a lot of new refs now. We've had a lot of retirements and a lot of shakeup and stuff like that.
Yes.
So you don't gotta take your picture away, man. We hear you drinking. But they feel like they can't talk to the refs, and that leaves players to police the situation. And that's what, you always say, hey, say to the ref, if you don't take care of this, I'm gonna take care of it. And so the refs need to not just establish their own authority, but they also need to establish a relationship so the players can feel like they can appeal to an official before having to deal with it themselves. Because if you feel like you have to deal with it yourself and you can't appeal to an official, what you're giving up is a situation where you say, hey, this is going on, look out for it. And again, it's an emotional game, so when the guy says that, he's not always going to say it in that tone. You can't give him a tech when that's basically what he's telling you. He's not calling you out your name or whatever. He's not telling you you're bad at your job. He's saying the same thing he would say in a calm voice. Maybe he's saying an aggressive voice. But if he feels like he can't say that anymore, the next time the guy does it, he's telling that guy in his ear, do it again. And the guy does it again, gets away with it. Maybe the call goes the wrong way. And that third time he does it, he's going to, retribution is going to happen. So I think that's the primary reason overall.
That's a good point you brought up with the refs, because I was reading some stuff on Hoops Hype today, and you were right. Like, they have all these new refs coming in, and you've noticed there's been a lot of complaints about the officiating. So players are frustrated. They jaw back and forth and stuff like that. And I think, like you said, they're just taking it into their own hands. I mean, like we saw with the Clippers and the Rockets. I mean, you got Chris Paul going in back passageways into the locker room. You've got guys knocking on the doors of the locker rooms being decoys. It's bad.
Now,
You
I
know,
do
I
think
just think
think that situation shouldn't be lumped in necessarily
Me too.
because that is something that might have happened no matter what. But
That's
not
fair.
only do we have these other fights, but we also have these ejections and stuff like that, and I think they're
Mhm.
related in those cases. But no, I don't think. I think the Chris Paul thing was just about him coming to Houston. Him coming to L.A. There being some bad blood.
Mhm.
Doc Rivers' kid yapping all day. Austin Rivers just going at these guys. And maybe we could transition into this topic. But what do you guys think about the Austin Rivers situation? Because the general consensus is people were upset with his position in the franchise or whatever, and they considered his contract undeserved. And while it may have been undeserved at the time, it's not an egregious contract for the level of player that he is, being a
Mhm.
good defender, 15 points a game. I think he's around
Mhm.
41, 42% efficient, field goal percentage. And that team doesn't have a lot of wing players. So, yeah, so what's your take on that?
I think it's unfair because you're right. I think he's actually been good, really good for them. He's been, one of their best 6 players the last couple years. He's shooting the ball from 3 close to 40%. Like you said, he's one of their best. Right now, he may be their best perimeter defensive player when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I think there is resentment with his pops being the coach. I think that's part of it. And it's funny because Austin Rivers, they mentioned Chris Paul saying that about him, oh, he's like a dad, he's doing this and that. And it actually stung him because he's like, man, I put Chris Paul on a pedestal. That's one of my favorite players of all time. And I think it's because of his pops a little bit, and they think he gets away with stuff, daddy's boy and that kind of thing. But he has been really good for them, which I don't understand why there'd be any resentment because he has played well.
Well, I want to kind of go back to what we were talking about just briefly with the fights. I think it's really odd because I got a little bit of a slightly different take. I do agree with Nelson that I don't think the Chris Paul thing should be lumped in. I think that's something that probably would have happened whether or not we had new refs, old refs, whatever, because that was that was like he said about bad blood. But I totally think the new refs not being in control of games anymore is what created those other issues. Veteran referees know how to control the personality of a game, and they set a tone early. They issue warnings, they issue double technicals and that sort of thing to kind of curtail these types of actions from getting to where they get. And without those veteran refs and without that relationship and that respect back and forth between the two players, the players and the refs, and I think you lack that. But what I find funny is this. I find funny that most people who are of any age that are NBA fans long for the 80s and 90s style basketball, where we saw fights all the time. All the time. I mean, Pistons, Heat, Knicks, Bulls, Pacers, we saw fights regularly. And to be quite honest with you, the fans loved it. Many of them, not all fans. Many fans loved it, right? So now we get 2 or 3 fights in a week, and everybody is acting like, I'm telling you, Trump just tweeted or something. I mean, they are just.
Zeke, keep in mind, but here's the thing: there's guys in the NBA that weren't born until after the 90s.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so the entire audience wasn't around for that 80s, 90s basketball. And I think the other thing about that is when people talk about 80s, 90s basketball, it was the fact that defense was such a presence in the game. We had a couple of rules changes. We had hand checking and stuff like that go away. That you got dynamics, So the Phoenix Suns was one kind of team, and the Chicago Bulls were another kind of team. Seattle Sonics were one kind of team, and the Knicks were another kind of team. Utah Jazz was a different kind of team. And even when the Lakers came in and they still had some of the rougher stuff going on in that era, Kobe and Shaq was a different kind of thing. Whereas now we see a lot of copycat stuff because when the game opens up the way it has, people who can't shoot become much less valuable, which changes how you can create your team. You know what I mean? Like if you're a superstar ball handler or distributor, you might be able to get away with not being able to shoot. But before, you could get a guy who's just a rebounder, a shot blocker, really strong, really hustled, and you could put him in the starting lineup. If you have that guy in your starting lineup right now, chances are you're not even in the top 8 teams in the league. Like you don't even have a chance, most likely. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, Yeah, so I think that's when people talk about 80s, 90s basketball, it's about the fact that when you have defense as a part of the game, you get more diversity, and you also get games that look a lot more competitive, which we get in the playoffs, but we don't get it during the regular season as much.
Mm-hmm. It's like a guy like Rodman.
Yeah.
What would he do in today's game? Honestly, as great as he was in the 80s, 90s, what would he do in today's NBA?
If in today's NBA, he's not much different than Tristan Thompson. He's about the same.
Exactly. Because
Tristan Thompson, he's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
exactly, because Rodman wasn't blocking shots.
I'm telling you, it's very similar to Tristan Thompson. It's very.
Oh, to be fair, Rodman was an elite rebounder and an elite defender. Tristan Thompson was never either of those two things.
Well, I think he's an elite.
He was,
rebounder.
That is a terrible caveat to put on any. So when his team misses shots, he's good. Sometimes
that's like that guy you look at.
He hustles. Offensive rebound shift an entire game. So I do think it's worth mentioning. You know,
for a bench player.
Yeah. Oh, I really don't think that Tristan Thompson should be a starter. Not on that team, especially.
Because the thing is, he allows you to play 4-on-5. So.
and that's more hurtful in this era of basketball than it was in the 90s, because Rodman, you play 4-on-5 with Rodman too. I mean, Rodman. I mean, they were leaving Rodman in '96. Yeah,
but again, the game was closer together.
Right, that's my point. That's
right.
my point.
When you got guys standing 27 feet away from the basket, like, this is my shot. It's different than when people don't really want to shoot the three at all. Yeah. You know, like that is a different, like before, the 3-point shot was like the third, fourth option for some teams.
And you know what's crazy? You say that, and we've all seen it. Larry Markkinen is the fastest player in the history of the league to hit 100 threes in a number of games. And think about it, over guys like Steph Curry. So it just shows how much the 3-point shots used now.
Yeah. I mean,
when Larry Markkinen is the fastest to hit 100.
You're correct. I mean, you're right. I mean, I really think it's just I would really love for, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a switch in the rules in the next 10 to 12 years, because fans are going to get tired, because fans always want whatever they're not getting right then. You know, so you give it a few years and people are going to say, you know what, man, all of these games, 130 to 125 and 125 to 127. And you know what? I'm tired of all of that. I want to see somebody play some defense. And you know how the NBA is. The NBA listens to their fans and they respond and they move when a large enough group or an affluent enough group makes noise. They make changes.
Yes.
And I believe that in the next 10 to 12 years, 10 to 15 years, you will start to hear. And with social media, those voices and those complaints are accelerated and amplified. And I think that we'll see that.
Do you think when that happens, because we know like early 2000s, that little 2001 to 2005, it was the ISO ball era basically, right? So if they do this right, bring back the hand check, do you think that brings back the post game then? Like guys like where Jahlil Okafor can be effective.
I do think, but by that time, Jahlil Okafor will be 40.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying necessarily him, but a guy like him, though.
A guy like him, yeah, I do. And that's what I want. I really would love to see the back to the basket big man be relevant again, because I think that is a very unique and awesome and underrated skill that is being made to be an obsolete skill level now for the most part. You know, I mean, I won't say it's a totally opposite. I just think there really isn't a guy out there playing that style of game who also happens to have the right type of teammates around him to make that style of game work. So I won't say it's totally obsolete, but it is virtually.
I'm gonna disagree to a degree, because LaMarcus Aldridge is still playing that predominantly right now, and the Spurs are performing but he does a lot of post up turnaround stuff. Like that's still his bread and butter. Like he's killing guys with it. You know, 18 feet post up, turnaround jumper, cash. And actually, I've been bringing this up weeks on end, but Antetokounmpo, he doesn't have a traditional animation package for a post-up guy. But one of his go-to moves, absolute go-to move, he does it every game, several times a game, is when he brings it down the court, he immediately turns his back, posts up real quick, jumps up on top of you, and either gets a dunk or a layup. And we all know Embiid has that post-up game as well. He does it frequently. Russell Westbrook, from the point guard position, comes down and gets that early offense post-up sometimes. And there's other people who do it as well. There's a bunch of people in DeMar DeRozan. His post-up game is elite as far as I'm concerned. So it's not that it's not in the league. The thing is, they started defending the post-entry pass well as Shaq started to get older, right? And then they started prioritizing big men being faster, big men being able to switch on pick and rolls, big men being able to shoot. And I think really it's from a talent perspective. We don't have players who can do those things and be great post-up players for the most part. I think Boogie is in that area. Joel Embiid is in that area. There's a few other guys that are in that area starting to come along. But we just came out of a big man drought. And so for us to see that in the low post, we're going to have to move into a new big man era where we get really talented guys that are kind of a new face and shape of it, the same way we did in the post-KG era. Because KG was the only KG when he was KG, basically. And then we started seeing a whole bunch of 6'11", 7 feet guys that could guard point guards.
Mm-hmm. It's fun because, now –
I think – go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, now that this recent last few years of big men, it's been your DeAndre Jordans, your Rudy Gobert's, guys like that, who can switch pick and rolls, they can guard the perimeter, but they can't do a damn thing when they get the ball in the post. They don't have a post move to save their lives.
I was going to say that I think there's a lot of bigs who have the athleticism to do both things, basically guard the screen and roll. They were the point guard on a switch, and then they also have the athleticism to score in the post. But I just don't think that the post aspect is a part of the game that's being that's being pushed on them. All the young kids pretty much want to face up, shoot threes, or dunk. Nobody
and they want to handle the ball. The big guys want to handle the ball too.
They don't want to play with their back to the basket. So that skill isn't being developed. You got your guys like Karl Anthony Towns. He has a back to the basket game. He's not going to play a lick of defense, but he does have a back to the basket. So you got some guys, and his lack of defense, especially in screen and roll, is especially perplexing because he has the athleticism to do it. He has the ability, the length to stay with a guard for a step and a half after the screen. He does, but he doesn't do it. So I think it's really it's going to have to be, like you said, somebody's going to have to change the whole situation. It needs to be a Garnett style player who is able to do pretty much all things. He can do all, excel at all these different aspects of the game. And I think that's what we're missing. But
is that going to be Joel Embiid?
Maybe it is.
Because he can do it.
He's fallen in love with the three a little bit, but he usually doesn't shoot more than 2 or 3, so it's not too bad. But you still need a blend of that because of the way the game is being played now, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But
Towns could be the guy too, like you said, but he didn't play like a defense, and he's capable, which is concerning.
Yes, it is. It really is. You mentioned Larry Markkinen, which immediately reminded me. Did you I'm gonna say something about Chris Dunn, but before I say something about Chris Dunn and his book,
Nelson's waiting.
See when Larry Markkinen blocked the shot off Steph's face.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh my God, dude! Larry Markkinen got caught in the switch, which is funny because that's what we were talking about. Going to the basket, Steph tried to take him. Markkinen stays with him, blocks the shot with his left hand. It hits Steph dead in the face and flies out of bounds. Steph just laid on the floor. Was like,
hey, you see Steph Curry? His sister puts like some kind of tweet like, and you wonder how volleyball players get concussions, and she put that video. Like his own sister posted the video.
Right, it was crazy, man. But we're not so Nelson doesn't fall out and like swallow his tongue. We're not going to talk about the Bulls necessarily. But I did want to mention, because this was one of the oddest injuries I can remember seeing on a basketball court. If you did not see the game between the Bulls and the Warriors, Chris Dunn gets a steal as a breakaway. I don't know how he fell off. I don't know how he let go of the rim. I don't know what happened.
He fell forward instead of back.
He fell forward with the momentum, but he held on to the rim too long or something. he goes down face first. I don't know why he didn't put his hands down to brace his fall. I just don't get it. It's like part of his body just said, no, I'm not going to participate. I'm just not going to participate. And he hits his face first on. Do you know they said he left teeth marks in the court?
He left teeth too.
Wow.
Oh, I
thought he only dislocated. No, I don't think he
teeth.
lost it. He dislocated his teeth.
Them. He didn't lose any teeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That actually happened to me on the basketball court. I got a dislocated tooth. The guy elbowed me in the mouth.
Okay, but somebody elbowed you.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, listen, man. You Chicago. Chicago got a knack for picking up people who don't know how to fall.
Yeah, you knew Nelson was going to come with the heat.
Here we go with the demonic forces. Stop it.
Nelson was coming with the Chicago hatred.
Leave us alone.
I don't hate Chicago. I just recognize y'all as what y'all are. A hopeless, several games below 500 in the Eastern Conference team. Nobody cares about it.
If you discount the start of 3-20, they've been really good.
They're really good. Really good, Matt. Really good. That's been really good. I think the Bulls are like 4-6 in their last 10. What are they in their last 10?
I want to make an analogy, and only my MMA fans are going to understand what I say. But Nelson, you are to Chicago what Kobe Covington is to Brazil.
I know. Yeah, I know Kobe Covington. I am not though. Like I absolutely am not. Because the thing is, I actually don't have anything against the Bulls. It's you Bulls fans are delusional. And y'all, I feel like Stephen A. come on to Dallas Cowboys. Like I don't have anything. Like I'm rooting for Zach LaVine to have a big comeback. He looks really athletic, by the way.
I mean, his first step is insane.
Yeah, and part of the reason, I was joking about the Bulls earlier when they started winning at first is because Chicago fans were excited about it. And I'm thinking about, well, the only way Chicago is going to get back to where they need to be is if they get more talent. Right. And you guys are in a position to get less talent by winning now when it means absolutely nothing.
That's the problem.
I've said the same thing all year. I've agreed with you all year.
Yeah, and I believe there are many other Chicago fans that talk to me, Brian. So I ain't just talking about you.
Believe you me, I know there are a bunch of idiotic Chicago Bulls fans, but there are a bunch of idiotic fans of every single team.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, true. I am the honey and they are the fly. So there are people. I'm swatting these Chicago fans all year. That's why I joke about Chicago. The thing is, you crazy Chicago people want to bring up Chicago literally every show, and there are winning teams that we never discuss.
Okay, check it out.
Here's the thing: we talk about the Lakers, and they suck.
We stop talking about the Lakers.
The man
That's true.
And left teeth marks in the floor. I think that is pretty significant. That is a weird happening. That is a strange occurrence.
You know what though? It's not even just that. It's the way he fell. Because usually you get the two-handed dunk, your hand slips, you fall back. He fell forward.
I mean,
how does that happen?
The boy clumsy.
It's something wrong. I wanted to ask him like it was on what we were watching Waterboy. What's the matter with you, boy? You too stupid.
I never seen a guy get a leg sweep with nobody around.
I didn't know what was going on, but I'm glad he's gonna be all right. He should be out of concussion protocol soon. But yeah, that just totally blew me, man.
How many games? 1-2 games he'll be out. 1-2 games for Chris Dunn.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, honestly, I hope they take a lot of precautions and leave him out for the rest of the month. For
like 2 weeks, till the All-Star break.
He don't have a concussion. He just busted his face on the ground.
I think he had a concussion when he first got up. He was looking like he had just did 10 rounds with the heavyweight champ. He was like, he was dazed. But I'm gonna move on, Nelson, so that you don't.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Twitching.
Listen, man, I'm just trying to keep all the Sim Nation interested in the show. And I know most basketball fans, they care about good teams. What? That's what it is. Most fans don't want to hear about teams going to the lottery every single week.
You guys let me know if you had any issue discussing Chris Dunn. We're gonna move on. But I want you guys to tell me in the chat, did you have any issue with us discussing Chris Dunn busting his face on the floor? I thought that was worth conversation. That's just Brian. Brian just thought that. Can Brian think that every once in a while? That's what Brian thought. So we can move on. We can move on. But all right, so I had the question. I have a would you rather for you guys. And Nelson, let me know what you say. I say, would you rather have, and I'm talking about right now, present day, Anthony Davis or Kawhi Leonard?
I would rather have Kawhi Leonard because Anthony Davis, he's a great player. And I think if you're New Orleans, you're in a position, and we can briefly talk about the fact that there was a rumor that he was up for trade and nobody believes it, and New Orleans came out and said that is bananas, right? And reason being, there's nobody, if I'm the Pelicans, that I would trade Anthony Davis for. Literally no one in the league. Not Steph, not Kevin, not LeBron, because Anthony Davis is a 24, 25-year-old guy who looks like he still has some upside, and he don't need upside. That haven't been said. Kawhi Leonard is – here's the thing about Kawhi that I think the two things that are important about Kawhi. Number one, he is probably the best perimeter defender in the league. Shout outs to Jimmy Butler, who's also a great perimeter defender, and Paul George is also a great perimeter defender. But Kawhi Leonard is probably the best out of all of them because not only is he freakishly strong and has freakishly large hands, but he's being coached by Popovich to be a better defender. On offense, Kawhi Leonard, as an offensive player, might be in top 3 most improved since they won the championship. It's absurd. It's like you see guys improve their ball handle. Like I talk about DeMar DeRozan. He's improved in a lot of ways. He used to be just a slasher. He got a post-up game, pull-up, midi, get to the basket in different ways, clever. And now he's added a 3. Props to him. But Kawhi Leonard, he used to just be a guy that was a system player. Then he turned it. Before he was
I wouldn't even call him a 3. I wouldn't. Yeah, exactly.
He didn't even have that in the beginning. Yeah. And then he shot like 44% on the year from three-point range out of nowhere. And then the next year, after working with Kobe, he literally came back with Kobe moves.
Thank you.
I mean, between the legs, step back, hezzy, dunk on you, between the legs, step back, jumper, like mixing it up. The guy was a monster. And the thing is, on top of being that good, never developed the kind of ego where he said, give me the ball. If Pop said, you be a system guy for a quarter, he'd be a system guy. If Pop said, give it to your teammates, he'd give it to his teammates. But whenever Pop calls his number to say, go get him, he turned into a killer. Just like that. Yep. He turned into a killer. That, to me, is the most impressive skill set overall this side of, like, Kevin Durant and LeBron James. The only thing that Kawhi isn't great at is he's not really a playmaker. Outside of that, he's as good as it gets. And obviously with Anthony Davis, since I'm not the Pelicans, I have to worry about his injuries because the boy's never healthy. He looking like a tall.
Hey, you know what though? Kawhi Leonard has even improved his playmaking.
Stop it! Did you hear what he just said, Matt?
Did you hear what he just said? That again. Go ahead.
He looks like a tall Derrick Rose out there. That is just not. That's just uncalled for.
I mean,
that's like somebody
Derrick
you had an argument with somebody.
Why y'all so sensitive? Stop dwelling on this.
I'm not sensitive. I'm just saying.
It's like you had an argument with somebody an hour and a half ago. Y'all already reconciled, and when they walking out the door, you smack them in the face. That's what that felt like.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Brian. Anthony Davis hadn't missed entire seasons yet, so that's fair there. But I'm with Nelson on Kawhi Leonard. I can't. I'm not going to go as long as because Nelson hit basically everything. The dude is unbelievable. The only guy I would say is close to him on the perimeter on defense is Roberson, but we know he can't do a damn thing on offense. But Kawhi Leonard's offensive game is old school. He has that old. There's nothing flash. I'm not saying he's as good defensively, but he's the closest thing to Kawhi on the perimeter, I think, in the NBA. If we were going to say it would be Roberson, but offensively, Kawhi Leonard's fantastic. And it's an old school game. There's nothing flashy about it. And I love that Nelson mentioned him working with Kobe. You can see it in his game. And he's like a silent assassin. I mean, the dude drives like a 1975 pickup truck. I mean, the guy has no ego.
Well, I don't think ego is an issue with Anthony Davis either. I mean, there's only
no, it's definitely not.
Like Greg Popovich was mentioning. I think he mentioned this about Joe Johnson and Kawhi Leonard. He said, there's high maintenance players, there's low maintenance players. He said, but those two guys are no maintenance players.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do anything. You just tell them, hey, do that, and that's it. You never have to check back with them. They're going to do everything you ask them to do. So I do think that Kawhi takes it to another level when it comes to coachability and manageability. I would say you have to take Kawhi as well, but my biggest reason is because I believe that Kawhi knows how to win. Yeah. And I think Anthony Davis is still learning or trying to learn how to win. I think Kawhi is a player who doesn't really have any weaknesses. I don't think he may not like. I remember they had this was, I think this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. The beginning of a regular season, KD was still with Oklahoma City, and they asked him about Kawhi, and they were comparing small forwards. And KD totally disrespected Kawhi. I mean, he said, I think he called him a 3-and-D player or something to that effect, something like that. And I remember I fell into the same thing. I was like, man, I don't know if Kawhi is quite as good as all you guys think he is. But the next regular season after that, I watched him for 10 consecutive games, right? And I'm looking at like how books are saying all of the different aspects of the game of all these different
Was
layers.
this after he won the Finals MVP? What you're talking about, like after that? Okay.
After he won the Finals MVP. I'm looking at all of the layers that this kid had added to his game. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, this is not the same dude.
Nope.
That we saw earlier. This is not the same dude. And he literally has made himself one of the 5 best players in the NBA. He literally, I believe he is one of the 5 best players in the league.
I mean, you can make an argument he's number 2. I'm not saying he is, but you can make the argument he's the second best player.
You could, I believe an argument could be made, and you wouldn't be completely insane if you said that. I definitely believe that. You could absolutely make that argument, especially if you're into efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a big thing for you, which I think it should be. There's only one other player in the league that's more efficient. There's only one, and if you really want to be honest, at this point in their current careers, Kawhi is twice the defender that LeBron is. I don't know, maybe not twice, but he's definitely better. So yeah. I mean, obviously twice.
I say right twice because of LeBron's age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Where they are in their careers right now. But,
exactly.
Kawhi's obviously not playing, and that was my reason for pairing those two together. Because even though Anthony Davis is healthy right now, we know he's never really played a full season. But now, over these last 2 years, Kawhi is showing some wear and tear. So that was my reason for putting those two together. And right now, Kawhi.
In fairness, though, we know how Pop is. That like Kawhi could be ready to go. You know how Pop is. He's gonna sit him when he could be ready to go.
Yeah, but they shut him down, which was a little different.
That's concerning.
That was
the thing is though, Kawhi hasn't shown an overall brittle body until this recent rash of injuries, and I just look at this as a bad recovery. Mm-hmm. This isn't chronic injuries the way Anthony Davis really seems like. In 2K, when you go to the player injuries, like there's just red all over his body. You know what I'm saying? Like he don't got no green on his body. Everything is just, fall like if it's not one thing, it's the other. And the way he plays the game, he does play it a little bit in that he looked like he about to hurt himself kind of way. Whereas Kawhi was a very, very, very stable player. And when he went down with Pachulia, I mean, that was a dirty play. It wasn't anything that Kawhi, it wasn't like he just landed wrong out of nowhere. I think he's just having trouble recovering from that situation with all of these other little things, and maybe just needs to take some extra time off to get right.
It could be like what happened to Mike. What was it, 85, 86, second year in the league when he broke his foot? It's just a year. He just had that off year. And I know everybody says Steph Curry's had injury issues, which I think is unfair. He really had that 1 year where he was hurt with the ankle. I mean, this year he missed a few.
No, he had a lot of ankle injuries. That's why they were saying
he had ankle, but he didn't really miss a lot of games. But he didn't miss a lot of games.
Yeah, but he was never
1
right.
year.
Like, he kept twisting his ankle over and over, and it was like, how much of this can he go? Like
that was really that 66 game season where he missed I think he only played like 16 games or something. But after that, he was fantastic. And until this year, he had the 10 games. You know, I think he would have been ready. But Steve Kerr pulled it right.
Steph also was breaking down in the finals too. They've been in 3 finals.
Yeah, that's true.
He only had 1 finals, but he was Steph Curry basically the whole time. The other 2.
That was last year. That was this past one, right?
Yeah, and the one before he was also.
What was? Yeah, I know he was hurt the second one. What was wrong with him the first one?
They said he.
I don't remember the.
Was that the one with the knee, or was that the other? Was that the one?
The knee was the second. The knee was the second one when they lost.
I don't know what was wrong with him the first time, but I know people were saying he wasn't 100%, something like that.
I think he was fine. I think he was shook the first few games because I think Dellavedova did a hell of a job on him the first few games, but he figured him out after that.
Maybe.
That's what I think. I could be wrong.
I mean, to this day,
I could be wrong.
Steph walk around in space boots to protect his ankles, so I think there's more to it.
I mean, that could be true. I don't think his ankles are as bad as everyone makes it out. Like, oh, he's always hurt with his ankles. It's not like that.
I don't think he's always hurt with his ankles, but I think it's been acknowledged that he has weak ankles.
Right.
And
yes, that's fair.
This is an issue that could potentially crop up for him at any time. I mean, this just when his most recent injury was his ankles, right?
Yeah. I saw. Yeah, because he got hurt against the Charlotte Hornets. Man, it was nasty too. He literally, like, you could see it. It was bad.
He sat for a while, so it's an injury to the same area. And like Books was saying, if you went to 2K and you look at his his little body frame there, I bet you he's got red ankles.
Yes.
I bet you he's got red ankles. So but yeah. So we can go ahead and move on. Let's talk about some of the trade conversations that have been out there right now. We saw today, I think it was earlier today, that the Charlotte Hornets are talking about making Kemba Walker available. Matt, where do you see that? Where do you see like a potential landing spot for Kemba?
It really depends on cap space because we know he has a contract, and also from what I saw, they're also wanting to put Batum in a possible trade with him because they want to unload salary.
Right. So
I think if you're going to include both of them, that's going to be tough. But if it's just Kemba Walker, I mean, there's teams who could use him. It would really just depend on the cap space. I'm trying to think. I mean, like, I think Detroit would be a nice spot.
You got to remember, Kemba has a very, very attractive salary for the level of he is in the 80s.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Can I drop?
But it is a high salary.
Can I drop a little info in here?
Go ahead, Nelson.
Just so we're all clear, they're not making Kemba Walker available because they want to trade Kemba Walker. They're making him available because the rest of the team is trash and has a lot of bad contracts.
Absolutely.
And the only way they're going to get rid of those contracts is by also getting rid of Kemba Walker.
And
it's really it's a fire sale with a bunch of people who ain't got no good furniture in the yard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. And Nick Batum is trash, especially
he's garbage now.
He's I think my boy Los was telling me the other day that their efficiency against the defensive efficiency against a small forward position is like one of the worst in the league. This is with Nick Batum and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, but 2 guys who can't play offense who were there for their defense. Nick Batum was supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. He's not even at 30% right now.
Right.
He's been trash.
Honestly, I think Nick Batum is very under-motivated right now, and I think he's.
You see what he getting paid?
Yeah.
That's why they pay you. They go, here's the motivation to be great. You get another one of these if you're great over the time of this contract.
It's almost, what it's like. Everybody, I know both of y'all remember Mo Taylor, right?
Yeah.
From the Clippers. Remember when he got that massive contract, goes to the Rockets? He was trash after that. Like that seems like what happened to Nick Batum almost. Because he was a good player in Portland. He was really good. Who is this guy? I mean, when Dwight Howard is your second best player, and no knock on Dwight Howard because I think he's been pretty good for them, but that can't happen.
Yeah, I mean
that can't happen.
Yeah, from
and he's been good for them.
Yeah, I think he's been good. Playing. But it reminds me of Cleveland to a degree. We talked about it a little before the show when they're trying to make a trade. Shump been hurt most of the time. JR is so trash, and Jay Crowder has been so trash that you can't package them with anything unless the thing that you're packaging them with is something you really don't want to give up.
Yep,
in their case, it's the pick. Right. Which,
Yep.
we'll see how good that pick winds up because Brooklyn is a tough out basically every night.
Mhm.
So
They're not as bad
Yes.
as most people expected them to be.
and they've been hurt. So I think if they had Lynn,
You know why? You know why I think that
D'Lo the
Brooklyn
whole
pick is
time,
so
he was
valuable to Cleveland? Because I think the Cleveland thinks it could fall in that range where they could get a kid like Trey Young.
You
I think that's what they're thinking.
They're not getting Trey Young where Brooklyn is.
You think he goes top? You think he goes top 3 or 4?
I think he's going top 5, and Brooklyn's not going to be in there unless they luck out in the
Well,
lottery.
and Cleveland plus. Remember, Cleveland's had good luck in the draft.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well,
I honestly, dude, I really feel like Brooks was saying, they have been much better than everybody expected. Just much better. And one of the reasons why I think that one of the reasons why I think I lost my train of thought. I'm looking at the chat right now. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Point being, I think there's a lot of teams that could use Kemba Walker. It's just about which teams are willing to give up assets to take whatever it is they have to accept along with Kemba Walker. I think Sam I am, call is low in the chat, brought up the Spurs. I actually think the Spurs would be a great situation because I think Greg Popovich could probably get the most out of Nick Batum and Kemba. But at the same time, I don't know what the Spurs really have that Charlotte wants. Charlotte is probably looking to get out of those contracts. So they might, they might be able to work something out. I don't know.
Does Charlotte have the cap space where they could absorb, or really it's San Antonio. San Antonio doesn't have the cap space to absorb guys. That's, I think, where the problem comes in because Batum has a decent contract. Kemba has, a pretty good contract.
$20 million a year.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what San Antonio can give up if they're going to take both of them.
I know what I was going to say, Matt. You were saying that one of the reasons why that Brooklyn pick is so important to the Cavs. The biggest reason why it is because the Cavs have the oldest roster in the NBA.
Yes.
And they already know. Forget about LeBron. Obviously, that's a big deal when or whenever he decides that he's going to move on. But that pick that they have from Brooklyn is the only injection of youth that they have right now.
Yes.
Before they allow themselves to get so bad that they're actually rebuilding.
Yeah.
So they were hoping that it would be a superstar level pick. Now it's not even going to be that, right?
Well, I mean, so right now. I think they're looking at 7th, though. It's looking at tied for 7th.
Here's the thing. As this is the way that, to me, Cleveland has to change their thought process. At first, trading that pick was an absolute no way we're going to do that. Absolutely not. But because of how good Brooklyn is playing, and because that pick probably is going to be somewhere between 7 to 10, it's probably going to fall somewhere in there, 6 to 10, 6 to 9. They now have to think, is it worth parting with that to get one more real shot at a championship? Is it really worth doing that? Because you're not going to get you're probably not going to get Michael Porter Jr. You're probably not going to get DeAndre Ayton. You're probably not going to get Marvin Bagley III. You're probably not going to get Mohamed Bemba. You're probably not going to get Trey Young.
You're not going to get DeAndre. You're not going to get Ayton.
Right. You're not going to get these guys who are who really actually look like actual potentially franchise changing players. So as it falls down now to the point where now you're looking at guys like Miles Bridges, Kevin Knox, and those kind of guys. Now you got to say, do I want to hold up what could be the last injection that this team needs for Miles Bridges?
And to your point,
I actually like Kevin Knox, but I see where you're going.
Yeah, and to your point,
you to say you don't want to try to go for a championship.
If Charlotte gets rid of Kemba and they have a fire sale, they're probably going to wind up with a worse record than Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? This is probably a quasi tank move.
And here's the thing we're not talking about. D'Angelo Russell's going to come back. That's going to make them better.
Yep.
And they're going to win games because D'Angelo Russell, before he got hurt, he was good for them. He was playing good.
And the Kings, Mavs, and Lakers, especially since Lonzo's starting to get dinged up now, they might just shelve him at some point during the season if he gets another ding. The Grizzlies might want it. Yeah, like seriously.
I don't know if the Lakers shelve Lonzo, though, because they're not going to get their pick this year. because it goes to Philly, which goes
No,
to Boston.
they would shelve
Boston gets
Lonzo
that
not
pick.
to tank. They would shelve him just for his health.
Yeah, good point. Yes,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
They would
absolutely.
sit him for that. But I mean, who do you think? Like, what? You know what? I shouldn't even say who do you think. What type of player do you guys think that the Cavs actually need that would actually make a big enough difference that would change what's happening right now?
I got two. The rumors that are come out, I think DeAndre Jordan helps them because of the rim protection. They need that. And I think George Hill, because we know what George Hill can do out on the perimeter. He's a good defensive player, can make the open three. I think those two guys would be outstanding for them. And dare I say this, I'm going to be crazy. If you bring in George Hill, I think IT has to come off the bench for defensive purposes. I think you have to.
I think they need to replace the two players that they lost off their roster. They lost two very important players over the last year or so. J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert. Those fools are not even on the roster. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was how they got the championship in the first place. It was J.R. and Iman came in and they brought J.R. started playing some D. And he would get smoking hot from three-point range. And Iman Shumpert, he played some great defense and would hit a shot or two. All of a sudden, Iman Shumpert can't shoot. He can't defend. J.R. Smith is probably the worst starting shooting guard in the entire league.
And that's crazy because J.R. Smith was maybe their best perimeter defender a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, I don't
he
know
was good.
All that, but he was definitely pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if he's better than Iman.
Or LeBron.
I don't know. J.R. Smith was really good on the for defense with them when they won the championship.
I think you might be grading on a curve because you're used to J.R. Smith not defending.
That may be it, because but I thought he was
locking
good.
people up. But he was playing decent. Point being, they need to replace those two guys' lack of production. And same thing with Jay Crowder. I don't know what happened to him. If Brad Stevens is just a system guy, and you can't trust nobody he's trading because they're going to look different when they leave his system. I don't know.
But you know what? He was good in Dallas, but who was Dallas's coach? Another great coach.
Yeah,
Jay Crowder's played for two great coaches. Yeah. He's played for two great coaches before he got to Cleveland. So maybe that's something.
But even with that, though, the thing about Cleveland is when you look at them, their defense is basically the worst in the league or one of the worst in the league, right?
I think they're 27th, 28th. Yeah. They're right there at the bottom.
So here's the thing. For them to have the record that they have means that their offense has always been one of the tops in the league. So, and we're talking about since Tristan Kardashian came back. And sorry, I said it.
Yes.
Since Tristan Kardashian came back,
they've
been playing real bad. It's not IT, it's Kardashian. So, but before then, when they were streaking, their offense was amazing. So you can't look at Ty Lue and be like, you're the reason when you have one of the best offenses in the league. Jay Crowder just hasn't come along. He just hasn't played. I don't know why he's so bad on either side of the ball. I think the defense is a team thing. But as an individual, he doesn't look like a good defender either. I don't know what's going on with him. He doesn't always look like he's playing hard. He doesn't always look competitive, which is strange because LeBron James usually plays with a Jay Crowder type very well. And that's why I think DJ would be good for that team. Because DJ automatically makes your entire defense better.
Yes.
Because not only does he rim protect, but he also calls things out and is a defensive leader. He's like a basketball Ray Lewis to some degree. Even
kind
though
of like what KG was.
Yeah. And DJ's not a super great post defender, but there's not many super great post players, so it's not too much of a factor. You're already playing 4 and 5 with Tristan anyway, and you're not really playing 4 and 5 with DJ because DJ finishes so well at the rim.
Yes, which is something that Tristan does not do.
Right.
And DJ's making free throws this year.
Yeah. So
he's
I
close
think
to
DJ
70%.
would be a good pickup for them because the thing is, when LeBron lost Kyrie and Kevin Love, they switched to an entirely different style in the playoffs. And I don't think this is necessarily something you can do day in and day out in the regular season, but I do think in the playoffs, when things slow down, when you're seeing the same matchup every night, when rotations shorten up, I think you can slow the game down and play that style of basketball. We see some teams do it all the time. That's why some people think OKC is still going to be really good in the playoffs because their defense, when Robertson's in, remains very hot.
Yes.
With Russ and Adams and George and great defense. So if the Cavs can get somebody that can help them play that style of ball with LeBron James and actually Isaiah Thomas, you have guaranteed offense in the half-court game. So the NBA is full court during the season, half court during the playoffs sometimes. And DJ allows you to play that kind of ball. So I think
what about George Hill? How do you think he would fit in with them? With his perimeter defense and his three-point shooting.
I think he fits okay. He's not an all-star or anything. It really depends on what they could do overall with the team to get the team playing better. The reason I say DJ is because DJ makes all of the defense better.
Yes, yeah, because he can erase mistakes from the perimeter, and
that might solve the problems with what they have. Because we're still talking about a team that has a really good record right now overall. And when they look this bad, and also it's the January LeBron thing, right? Like every January he goes through some malaise. There's some drama. They lose a bunch of games. Then they come back from an All-Star break and usually do pretty well. I know last year they didn't finish super great, but then they hit the playoffs and it was just lights out.
Yeah. And remember, Isaiah Thomas has played 5-6 games. It was going to take time to adjust with him coming back.
And
that is fair.
The fact that LeBron had no training camp.
Yep.
They've had injuries throughout the entire.
And they don't practice.
Yeah, right. So, it's a lot of dysfunction and, going on with their team just from an operation standpoint, not even talking about people getting along. I'm just talking about simply playing together. It's a lot of, it's very disjointed. So I think it's too early to be panicking about Cleveland. I don't think a trade is necessarily a symbol of panic. I think it's necessary once you assess what's going on with them because defensively they are dreadful. And I do think that DeAndre does help them. I don't know about George Hill though, because George Hill's long arms and defense allows him to guard twos, but he's not a two really. And so I worry about. I mean, if you're going to play him at the two, and to me, if you're going to start, if you get George Hill, to me, he's your starting two guard. If
you think so, you think so?
He's my starting two. I continue to play Dwayne Wade off the bench, and JR gets no minutes.
JR's done. He's done.
See, that's what I was thinking. JR gets no minutes. I would bring IT. I would almost bring IT off the bench.
No, I think you start IT.
You have to start IT because you don't have another person that can create offense off the dribble. And LeBron needs that out there on the floor with him. And because what they did last night against Orlando when they were playing well in the first half is you saw some 1-3 and 1-5 pick and rolls with Isaiah Thomas, which is a look that they could not do before he got there. And they have no other player that they can run that type of look with. And it allows LeBron to somewhat rest on the floor when you have another duo that can create offense. And so I definitely think Isaiah needs to be on the floor during, to start as well as at the end of the games. I think, and last night he looked more comfortable, even though he didn't shoot a great percentage. He looked more comfortable getting shots. He looked more comfortable creating his own offense, creating offense for other people. So I think it's going to come along. Even Rose Rose played terrible defense last night. I mean, it was worse than normal. It was worse than normal.
Come on, get him, Nelson.
No, I mean it was worse.
Hey, man, I'm blown away by this objectivity. I don't want to interrupt it at all. Please.
No, honestly, it was worse than normal. But he did have 9 points in 13 minutes. So that's fair. And all they need from Rose really is to push the ball and score in transition. That's it. That's it. When he comes in, push the ball, score in transition, get 4 or 5 buckets, and you've done your job.
And with everything you've said, that's why DJ would be so big. Because we know Isaiah is not going to guard a chair out on the perimeter because just his size won't allow him to do it.
Yeah.
But now
DeAndre Jordan is going to help that out.
Now he uses that as a cop-out, though. Because now if you watch him on the perimeter defending, the effort isn't even there.
No, it's not. Isaiah Thomas has been god-awful defensively.
The main reason the effort's not there is it's hard for IT to get into basketball shape on a team that doesn't practice.
Yeah.
Because he's only playing during the games. And he hasn't played basketball in nearly a year, basically. So,
which explains the bad shooting as well.
Well, that's from his own mouth. He said, when I came out shooting that first game, I told the coaches that is not how it's going to be. Shots is just dropping because my legs feel terrible. You know, I've got to
Absolutely.
get my legs back. I just have to play. That's why they're playing him the way they're playing him. Because at the end of the day, they look like they're locked into the third seed pretty much. Nobody below
they definitely
them
are.
looks like they're good enough to take the third seed from them. And Boston and Toronto are just too well coached and well oiled to drop from where they are unless they have a major injury. So they look like they're locked into the third seed. Oh, you don't like that? You don't think that?
The only team I think that could, because when you look at the standings, I don't think it's gonna happen. I predicted early going into the season. I predicted Philly to be the 3 seed, but I think they're the only team who could make any kind of push towards Cleveland.
I think you're crazy
because of Embiid and Simmons. I get it. I'm not gonna say.
Didn't JJ Redick just go down?
I mean,
yeah, he's not gonna be out that long though. They said it's not gonna be.
But
that
you're
long.
talking about that team. They need a run. Like if you look at the games, Cleveland would have to continue. They would have to continue to really struggle the entire season, and Philly would have to go on an amazing run. They're just not good enough to do that.
But here's why I like Philly
right now, dude. They're what are they? 4.5 games behind Cleveland.
Philly's 3 back in the loss column. I think 3.5 out of the 3rd seed.
Yeah. So,
but here's why I like Philly. If you look at Philly, they had that tough 4-game stretch. They lose 2 to Sacramento, LA, and Phoenix, right? That's 4 bad losses. But then on top of that, they have 6 or 7 where they blew 10, 15-point leads. And some of those games Embiid didn't play. And I just think they're going to be that team that nobody wants to play come playoff time. I don't think they're going to get 3rd anymore. I think they're going to round out 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there. I don't think Philly will finish 8 because Embiid and Simmons are too good if they're healthy. As long as Redick can stay healthy and Covington can find his 3-point shot, they're a tough team because when they go out on the floor, have the 2 best players on the floor. That's a tough team to beat. I think they can beat anybody out east outside of Cleveland. I'm not saying it will happen, but I think they can beat them.
Yeah, I think that's a major stretch.
No way on God's green earth they beat Boston.
I'm not saying they will. I think they can. I don't think they will, but I think they can. I think in a best of 7, Cleveland's the only team that Philly just can't beat. I think they can beat Boston. I think they can beat Toronto. I don't think it will happen, though. But I really like Philadelphia.
I actually think Toronto is a really tough matchup for them.
Yes. I think I would not be shocked if Toronto.
I think that's a tough matchup.
Let me ask you this, Nelson, with that. Am I crazy to say that Toronto could actually take Cleveland out this year?
No, I think that's possible.
No, I don't know. No,
I think they could. Right now, I think Toronto's the best team in the East.
Yeah, that's a decent argument. That's because Toronto plays both sides of the ball, and again, they have the most veteran weapons at this point.
Yes,
they're getting production everywhere. Boston has had to make so many comebacks. Their record is like if you look at that early win streak. Credit to them, but it's still an early regular season win streak. A lot of teams
their record is kind of misleading.
Veterans aren't playing that hard, blah, blah, blah. And, Boston's defense is elite. I just don't know if in the playoffs, when you're seeing the team every single day, if you can get away with a little bit of offense that they have. Because their best players struggle not even offensively. Efficient. Like Kyrie Irving is still not.
Well, I don't know. Kyrie's actually having his best shooting season ever, I think.
He's got
maybe not his 3. Well, he's been pretty good.
He's good, but he's not efficient by the standard of what the other superstars in the league give. Like he's
not Steph Curry or anything like that.
Yeah, and he's also not like super high volume. It's not like he's averaging 30 points a game or something like that. And he's just like he's good. You know what I'm saying?
He's gonna get you 24 points. And he's gonna shoot 45%.
But at the end of the day, when the playoffs come around and the offense is geared every night to figuring out what happens when we shut down Kyrie Irving and give up basically nothing else. That's why I say not enough weapons. You can't do that to DeMar DeRozan. You can't key in on him and say, I'll just deal with whatever Ibaka and Valanciunas
Kyle Lowry's going to get
Kyle Lowry. I'll just deal with whatever they give to him. You can't play like that.
No. But I think the only thing with Boston is Gordon Hayward going to come back at the end of the season, kind of like Paul George did a few years ago? And if Gordon Hayward comes back, how good will he be? Them.
No, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he should come back.
He plays?
No.
Paul George did the last few games when he broke it. That's the only reason I bring that up.
Yeah, but the situation that Boston's in, continuity is the issue with that team. And also, you don't want to risk him coming back too early because not only is he going to be hurt and out of shape, but when you have that leg injury, you aren't able to get into shape in your off time, let alone basketball legs. You're not able to just run the treadmill. You know what I'm saying? You can't be high intensity on your legs. You got to basically be off your feet for most of the time. So he's going to be in atrocious shape to be coming back. I think it'd be a really bad idea to bring him back early.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think I really don't think you should do that. I mean, you got the best record in the East. Okay, you've beaten Cleveland head up. You know, I wouldn't bring him back. He's not playing until next season. That's just it. You know, that contract is too long. There's too many years left on it to do that. I just don't see the purpose of that. Let's kind of slide over to still talking basketball. Let's talk a little bit of NBA 2K. Nelson, let me ask you this question. We've seen, and we've touched on this a little bit, but I've seen it popping up on Twitter a lot more now about 5 out and whether or not you will see 5 out in the NBA 2K League. Now, we don't know for sure because I've talked to several gaming managers and they don't know. But I can say this. Every gaming manager that I've spoken to has expressed a distaste for 5 out. Okay. What is your take on that? Do you think we're going to see a build that discourages 5 out or not?
Yeah, I think the build itself will discourage 5 out because you look at the ratings of the players that they're talking about. Just for the people who don't know, I've played over 400 something walk-on games this year, and I've won like 310 of them. Right, so I'm speaking from the experience of seeing this kind of all the time. In addition to YouTube and blah blah blah, what really makes 5 out work is the ability to make. Part of it is the ability to make a player who can have a severe mismatch on the perimeter, like a 6'10" playmaker or something like that. That's one way to make it really work in your favor. Or an elite post player is one way to make it really work in your favor. The other thing that makes it work are the limitless range, catch and shoot, pick and roll, dimer badges that increase the percentage of the shots. Once you remove all of that and you leave it up to just the shooting percentage, the corner 3 will probably remain very, very high percentage, but the hash 3 will not be a high percentage shot, particularly when a player is recovering towards it. Because the thing to also note is that right now, almost nobody makes defensive builds, right? The one defensive build that's gotten more popular is 3-and-D three-point shooter, right? But as it is right now, no one's making defensive builds because people are just making their characters, getting with a group of players that can play and going with the basic idea of 3 to 4 3-point shooters and a bunch of guys who can do stuff inside. When you get into the 2K League, you're going to have not only a new build, but you'll also have the controlled environment of very, very, very good players playing against each other all the time. And when you look at other games, there is never in the history of gaming, basically, been a strategy that was good on the ranked ladder, if you will, that survived the tournament scene. Because the reason it's good on the ladder is because that strategy doesn't get exposed over and over and over again to the scrutiny of high-level play. You get a mix of good players, bad players, and everything in between. Whereas once you get to the 2K League and you get great players scrimmaging against each other all the time, I'm pretty confident that they will figure out 5 out, particularly since 5 out will be nerfed from a rating standpoint from the get-go.
Matt, did you have a thought on that?
I was going to say, I'm actually with Nelson on this. And, me, I come from like a play now online aspect. I don't do a lot of the pro-am stuff. My guy on PS4, he's getting up there. I know Czar nerfed the 5 out. But I think, and like Nelson always said with play now online, you're only controlling one guy, defense, offense, right? So I think with five, human users, they're going to figure it out because you're playing the best of the best. And online, it's like Nelson said, it's random. You could be playing against a trash dude and he's running 5 out, this and that. So I think Nelson's right. It's going to be nerfed. It's going to be easier to snuff out on with this 2K league because you're going to be playing against the best players.
I actually agree wholeheartedly with Nelson, and it was really based on the initial part of his explanation. If you take away these badges, that will dramatically regulate the way 3-point shots are made, and then as a result of that, you'll change the way those shots are taken, because the people take those shots because they go in on relatively regularly. If you are taking some of those badges away, or the majority of those badges away, now you're getting down to, like Nelson said, you're getting down to more realistic percentages of makes and misses. And there is a reason why you don't yet see an NBA team regularly running 5 out, because realistically, you don't make those shots that we see made on a regular basis in 2K Pro-Am enough to make that work. So I think that's the biggest thing. I really think it, point blank and simple, that really is the key to changing this. And now here's a follow-up question that I have for you guys, and I don't think we've ever discussed this. Do you see the 2K build leading to either a different play setting in regular traditional NBA 2K? So like in NBA 2K19, do you see there being a setting that then simulates what we're going to see in the 2K league for 2K19? Or do you think that the way that the 2K league plays will then become the default play style for 2K19?
I don't think so, just because when you look at, quick information, 2K was just revealed as the second best selling game on all platforms behind Call of Duty, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a massive sea change. It wasn't Assassin's Creed. It wasn't, Madden hadn't been that high for a while. It's actually an up year for Madden. It wasn't FIFA. It wasn't Destiny. It wasn't Battlefront or anything, or Battlefield or anything. It was 2K. So the large player base in 2K does not want to play a highly competitive game. They still flood the park. And if you play the park, no disrespect to park players, but the park skill level is the lowest you get. That's where the worst players in the game are, right? And then some of those players are, they get a little better. But then when those players, the better park players, make it to Pro-Am, they're terrible at walk-on, by and large. And when you play both I wouldn't say I play at a high level, but I'm definitely at an above average level, right? So, because I have like an 80% record. So when you play at an above average level, at the very least, you go back to the park and you see these tendencies, you're like, oh, this guy's terrible. And they'll have like 2,100 games in the park, right? So those players go into Pro-Am, and then there's that next level of not super high skilled player in walk-on. And then in the walk-on, when you get to the better walk-on players, those are still only probably Elite 2, Elite 3 level team player, Pro-Am team players. And then when you get to the Pro-Am team guys, that's when you start to get to the guys who are elite, who are league hopefuls. So there's a wide skill gap in 2K this year, despite people's beliefs to the contrary. Believe you me, it's a very, very, very wide skill gap, because so many teams that you see that we play, we can literally undo them with a simple strategy. No cheese, no nothing like that. But just simply, put the center here, put these two guys there. What are they weak at? Okay, they're done. Win by 40, win by 50. We won one game by like 85 points or some shit like that. So, yeah, like that's how big the skill gap. And the thing is, we're not an Elite 6 team that plays Team Pro-Am every day. We play Team Pro-Am sometimes. We've played against a competitive team. We lost by like 6 guys with, pro hopefuls or whatever. We've beaten elite teams. We've lost to elite teams. We're not even super consistent going into team mode. And we can still basically go into Pro-Am, and I'll not take a loss for like 5-6 days. That's how. So the skill gap is really, really big, which means that there's a lot of bad players, and you do not want to force those bad players into some esports thing. That is the very last thing any esport wants to do. Your biggest group of supporters are the people who watch the game. Your next biggest group is the people who play the game poorly. The smallest groups are the people who play the game all the time. You don't want to bottleneck that situation. So I don't think they'll do that.
You don't want to cater to the smallest group.
Yep.
Well, not when it hurts the larger group. And in this specific situation, just to point on the head, what would hurt is that the fantasy of the my career player is what most people enter the mode for. They want their guy to be a 99. They want him to be LeBron, Jordan, Bryant, Jabbar, right? That's what they want. They want to feel powerful. It's a video game. They want to go in and be awesome, right? They don't just want to be a basketball player. They want to be an awesome basketball player. They don't want to be some 3-and-D role player. They want to be great.
Which is the reason why I feel like there should be an offline my player, so that you really accentuate that whole feeling. You know, that whole feeling of, you know, like if I want to make a 7'7" guy who cannot be stopped and he can shoot threes, I'm able to do that, but I'm doing it in a different environment where I'm not bothering the people who want to play competitively. I think that separation is definitely necessary. So, you know, it is what it is. Talking a little bit more 2K, because I said we were going to touch on a little bit of the wish list that I did like each month.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw out three more items from my wish list. One of them was I would like to see them bring back the classic challenge modes, but I would like to see a nice healthy amount of VC attached to, you know, for the rewards. And what I mean by the challenge modes was the first year they did it was, I believe, was in 2K11. They did the Jordan challenge mode where you had to recreate some of his greatest games or better his individual performance. Then the next year they came out with they had several different players. They had like Drexler and Bird and Magic, and you had to do it with all the different ones. I think it is really time to bring that type of mode back, because there's a whole new group of legends of which you can do stuff like that with. You can do Iverson, you can do Kobe, you can do Dirk, you can do all kinds of people, and you know, Shaq, T-Mac, all kinds of people, and it would cater to another generation of gamers who were like, oh yeah, I remember when he did blah, 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 blah. I remember when he did that. And I think that it would be awesome. And like I said, if you attach a nice VC reward to it for completing these challenges, it would be something that fans of multiple modes would be willing to play. What do you think about that, Matt?
I'm with you, because the thing that comes to mind when you talk about is when T-Mac went off on the Mavericks. What was that, 05?
Mm-hmm.
When he scored like 13, 14 points in like a minute, like that would be perfect. And you attach the VC to it, so you can add it to your guy. You can upgrade your character, you know, your my team, whatever it is you do. I think that's a fantastic idea, actually.
Your thoughts on that, Nelson?
I think this is a situation where I would like it to be true, but I don't think so. Most people don't follow NBA history. I think the greater bulk of people are addicted to stuff that represents fantasy basketball, card games, leveling up your character, you know, all the stuff that people find really addicting. And while I think it would be cool, and I do think they need to start embracing overall more ways to earn VC besides just grinding, things that shake it up. And they need more events in multiplayer overall. I know they do stuff for the card system and whatever, but they don't have it across the board. There should be play now challenges. There should be my career challenges. There should be, you know, park challenges. So the theme of what you're saying, I agree with. From an NBA history perspective, I don't think it's you know, from a numbers standpoint, I don't think it would be well represented.
Okay, you don't think that enough people would think it's cool?
Not necessarily. Now, here's the thing. If you mix that in with all these other kinds of challenges, then it creates a bridge, because then people don't play the game and say, I'm doing historical challenges. They say, I'm doing VC challenges. and anything can be under the VC Challenge umbrella. Maybe this week is not for you, maybe next week is for you. But that would open it up and allow people to say if you are a person who only does one kind of challenge all the time, that's eventually going to get stale. And now maybe you switch over to a different kind of challenge just to shake it up. And that allows the population to bleed over into different areas.
Yeah, I think
So give it a little variety.
Well, I think if you had a item on your menu, it said VC challenges, and once you went into that item, you had all of these different VC challenges listed, kind of the way MLB The Show does it. MLB The Show has all of these different challenges listed where you can earn stubs, and stubs are their equivalent to VC, and you can just kind of go through them all, and you do what you got to do, to complete all these challenges. You get the rewards, and I think that will work. So you have like Nelson was saying, play now online stuff. You have some my league, my team. I mean, my league, my GM, and then of course like this, what I'm talking about, which would be a whole separate mode. I also like the concept of bringing back stuff like the LeBron Path to Greatness mode. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was really cool. They only had it, I think, on the NBA 2K14 version, NBA Xbox 360 and PS3 version of NBA 2K14. But it got all into fantasy stuff, but it was really like superstar player lock. But it got all into the fantasy world because you kind of followed LeBron's career. Later on in his career, he started signing with the Knicks, and he's teamed with this team and that team. So it is a kind of a fantasy thing, which may appeal to some people. But I think that would also, like I said, be something that could fall under the VC challenges heading. And it would encourage people to play the games in different ways. But of course, the VC reward attached has to be something that is worth the time for the person who's simply coming there. Because a lot of guys and girls sit up and they say, okay, well, what's the quickest way for me to earn VC? What's the quickest way for me to earn a lot of VC, right? If I attach 10,000, 20,000 VC, 50,000 VC to you completing a major challenge in a Jordan challenge mode or something like that, people are going to go and do that because they want all that VC, and I think that's really all it will take. And I think because the modes themselves are pretty cool, I think there would be a certain level of popularity that would come to those types of modes and to that theme, but you got to have something to draw them there. And I think that's what needs to be used. That's the bait.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But that's so the last thing I'll talk about before we wrap this up, talking about our 2004 hip hop song, because 2004 is a year we're going to do. The last thing I'll bring up is this is probably, I don't know, maybe this demographic of NBA 2K fans might be even smaller than Kushmir's Play Now Online group. But I'm talking about the offline creative player group. So not the options that you get in My Player. I'm talking about when you're creating the guys who create rosters, the guys who create draft classes. And I've told Zazar this, so I'm not saying this because he's not here, but because I've told him this on several occasions. The creative player option in NBA 2K18 is one of the worst I've seen for a major sports video game. I mean, the facial hair options look like a bunch of black ramen noodles on somebody's lip. It's bad, man. It's really, they took a step backwards from what they had last year. Last year was good, could have been better, but this year they went for having more realistic faces by having these scanned in models. Because some people were complaining that the creative players stuck out like a sore thumb, and you could easily tell who they were and in relation to the scan guys. Well, most of the people who were actually creating rosters didn't care about that. We wanted to be able to make people look the way we wanted to make them look. And now this joke of an idea of face sculpting just isn't there. It's just not there. And I really want to see that come back. I would love for you to be able to give a guy goggles. I would love for you to be able to give a guy tattoos. You can't give offline creative players tattoos at all.
Wow.
I would love for you to be able to do that. Some stuff, different things you could do with socks. I would love to see body types more drastic, more different levels of body types. I mean, right now you got husky, medium, skinny. That's pretty much all you got. There's not enough variation in body types. I mean, you got some guys who just have freakishly long arms and freakishly wide shoulders. And then you got some guys who got short arms and whatever. And you can't really make all the different looks that you need to make, to really make the game fun. I mean, I say it all the time. If you could take WWE 2K's creation suite and put it on NBA 2K, I mean, the players that people would make in there, my player, with the type of players you would see at the park, it would be amazing, man. And
now, let me ask you something, Isaiah. When it comes to the my career park stuff, do you think that the options are limited because it helps them to keep less information on the server?
I don't know. One thing I think is a bit of of an impediment for them is their attachment to the My Career story and cutscenes and that sort of thing. Right now we already have a misrepresentation of your character in all of the cutscenes. No matter how tall you make him, he's gonna be 5'7" in the cutscenes.
That's an immersion breaking situation.
It really is. It really is. And
one of my least favorite things about the game.
Because I'm like, dude, I'm 7 foot. I'm 7'1". I'm a stretch 5. I play center, but every single time I'm in a cutscene, I look like Spike Lee. And that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. So that's one of the reasons why I want them to just totally do away with these really elaborate cutscenes. I don't think it's necessary. I think MLB The Show did a really good job with Road to the Show, making an immersive, single player experience, and they don't depend on cutscenes to keep you going. They allow you to just go.
That's what I think a lot of people really want. Like the thing is, with the story thing, it allows them to keep it fresh every year. Allows them to choose a different direction every year. But for me, the thing that I love the most is when I was kind of writing my own story, both with the personality of my character and with the role he played. And it was about the game giving me feedback for what I was doing. So if I was a rebounder, the game should treat me like a rebounder. If I'm a 30-point-a-night guy, the game should treat me like a 30-point-a-night guy. If I'm a scrub, the game should have good feedback for the journey of improving, right? Because everybody doesn't come in being able to cheese my career out of 50,000 rep points every single game. Some people go into my career and they're like, I can't get past the AI. Yeah, some of them are good players. And the first time I saw some guys who were pro-am guys saying that they didn't have a good my career record necessarily, relatively speaking, because they had to figure out the AI. And when you go through that journey of figuring things out, you should get the feedback, the relative feedback, the corresponding feedback. So yeah, I do wish they would go to something like that. I don't know if that means they would have to get rid of the cutscenes, because quite frankly, when you're the second best-selling video game title, just put more in. I don't care. Just do also.
Yeah.
That too.
And one more thing.
Right. I'll take that in a large.
And another thing. I mean, because you're right. When you're the second best-selling video game, how do you justify removing something from something that has been so successful?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember the last time NBA 2K's the series has received such vitriol. I'm just nastiness from some of the people out, some of the fans. I mean, this VC thing was nasty this year. The microtransactions, it was nasty. And it's still the second best-selling video game in the world.
And here's the scary
thing. What do you think happens next year? What happens next year?
I don't know, but
because of what they happen, because of the vitriol with the VC.
I don't know if it really matters. I think I think more importantly, the vitriol from Battlefront is scarier than anything else, because 2K dodged a bullet this year.
You're right.
Because it's in the sports arena, it was largely divorced. It was different conversations, right? Because generally RPG nerds don't like to talk to jocks, which is the perception of 2K. Even though, like I said before, everybody playing My Career Park Pro-Am,
They're
all
RPG
y'all are
players.
RPG nerds because it's an MMO, right? That having been said, next year they can't fall under the same fire because they will be the poster child for bad microtransactions if they do that. However, I can't say this confidently. I'm not saying this insider knowledge. I just want to clarify that. But I have a feeling that as many copies as 2K sold, it's probably even more insane when you look at their DLC purchases. People spending on microtransactions.
I believe it.
The 2K might have been the most profitable video game this year.
I would not doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
because you play Call of Duty, you don't gotta spend a dime. Just shoot people in the face.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna be honest, dude. You know what? You know when I knew that it's how serious it is with the spending. Dude, I have a cousin who he plays, but he just totally was not into the online thing. Just totally not into it. Dude, like a week ago, maybe not about a month or so ago, he said, you know, somebody finally put him up on Park and Pro-Am. And, you know, I've been telling him about it forever. But he got some buddies and they got together and they started going to Park. He just was so addicted. I mean, and he dropped and he dropped like $100 to get his guy up to an 80 something. So that he could, you know, immediately just get his guy up to an 80 something. Because he didn't want to do no grinding. He was like, no, I need to be ready to play now. So he's like an 80 something dude and still look like a UPS worker. But this is, you know, and I'm like, man, if you can get this guy, because I know this guy, to get that plugged in, man,
and that's $100 on top of the 60 he spent for the game,
already
right?
Spent. Already
exactly.
spent, you know?
Yeah.
So it's serious, dude. It's actually it's super serious. But
the business model is there.
The business model is there in a major way, you know. All right, so our last topic of the day is going to be our 2004 best song or our favorite song from 2004. Matt, go first. Hip hop.
I actually got two. I got two. It's gonna go quick though.
You always got two, man.
Yeah, I do. I got Overnight Celebrity, Twista, and Kanye West. Then I got Kanye West, Jesus Walks.
Well, you got two Kanye West songs, man. Make a choice.
Well, no, it's not two, because Overnight Celebrity is technically a Twista song, so Kanye just happened to be on it.
Why you can't make a decision?
He was a feature.
Disgusting.
So I had to go with that.
You said you got two of them, Matt. You said you got two of them, Matt. But that answer made it sound like you have none.
I had two. Y'all don't like my choices. Fair enough. I can't hate, but those are my tracks. And there were a lot from 04.
I got you. What do you got, Nelson?
It's funny. It's almost one of your choices. And I know, you know, all the credibility that I got for picking Transitions of a Ride of Immerse might go out the window with this one. But it's actually Jay-Z's encore with Linkin Park.
Yes.
I loved that whole album so much. And it was how I really got into Jay-Z when that came out. Because I'm a guitar player. I play, you know, rock and metal. And hearing Jay-Z, I thought that was one of the best produced mixes of those two genres. And everything, like, it wasn't just the fact that they did it and it sounded great. When you watch the making of, you can see Jay-Z really worked with the band to make the song as if that was the only way the song was written, which is pretty rare. It wasn't just a mashup. It wasn't something a DJ could have done. He respit his lyrics. They listened to him. They traded verses. You know, they rethought the choruses and everything. So the whole album was great. Encore is probably the one out of all of them because that's probably a song that the original at that time, the original wouldn't have brought me in at all. 99 Problems is faster. It's storytelling. It's kind of what I like. You know, it's a little slick Rick and stuff like that. But Encore was a quintessential Jay-Z song, and that was the gateway into Jay-Z.
I like it. Yes.
I can dig it. For me, it was a tough choice, even though I can tell 2004 was when I was becoming disconnected to hip hop because 2001, we did 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
I heard all these songs. Like, oh man, that song, I love it. And it was a bunch, right? This time it wasn't quite as many that I felt that way about, and I could see. And then some of the more popular songs that year, I was kind of like going, I didn't even like that.
Kind of when they
I didn't
started making
like
the
that.
transition to like the South type stuff.
Yeah,
The
and I
stuff
don't
from the
dislike
South.
the South. I don't dislike
Exactly.
the South. Like, because T.I. is outstanding to me.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so and I like some 8 Ball and MJG.
Okay.
I'm not as big a UGK fan.
UGK.
I'm not as big as
Ah.
I'm
God.
telling you something. People get mad at me because they bring up Pimp C, and I'm one of them people who believe
Hey.
that sometimes when people die, people make them like 10 times greater than they were. Just 'cause
MC
they
is
did.
overrated, and
And I'm
I'll
like,
say it as a UGK fan.
I don't disrespect nobody that's dead, but just because you died don't mean I'm gonna make you greater than you were. That's just how I am. I'm not gonna start going, yeah, you know, just pay respect to the man because he gone. No, I mean, hey, bro, I'm sorry that happened, but you still, if you was a 6 on my list, you're gonna be a 6, whether or not it's whatever. And Pimp C was not great to me. You know, he just wasn't. You know, Bun B was always better than me.
Yes.
But I didn't love neither one of them, right? But my song is Kanye through the wire.
Oh,
I just, that song, man, is so, the sample usage is so dope. The play on words is so dope. Everything about it is dope. I mean, so for people who don't know, Through the Wire was a play on words because he had the car accident and his jaw was wired shut. And so when he's rapping and rhyming in the song, he's not really speaking in his real voice. It's the best voice he could do based off the injury, and he's literally talking through the wire in his jaw, and it's the song is just insanely good in every way, shape, or form. It's insanely good, and I think it really helped launch him. I think it is a song that launched him. You know,
that was the first single, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a great song. It's just a great
What's the name of the track again?
Through the Wire.
Through the Wire. The production is fantastic.
I love Kanye as a producer. I should say, I love Pharrell as a producer. I like Kanye as a producer. But I've never liked him on the mic at all.
Really?
Like,
I think he's somewhat overrated as an MC.
I don't think he's a great
but
MC.
I don't think he's whack. I think he's a good MC. I don't think he's great.
I know for a fact that he doesn't write a lot of the stuff that he does, which that is a disconnection for me.
Kind of like Dre,
an old school MC myself.
Yeah,
I mean, I rhymed for decades. You know, like that's all I did. You know what I mean? That's like I was the walk around with the notepad dude all the time. So when I see an MC who doesn't write, or when I get wind that you don't write, you automatically fall a notch in my book.
You're a different kind of character.
You're a different kind of MC.
Interesting thing for me about Kanye is he became more musically broad as he got older.
Yes.
And the stuff he does, well, I mean, not in hip hop to the extent that he did, right? He practically changed genres with some of his work. He got closer to 9 Inch Nails with some of his work than a hip hop guy.
I would say CeeLo is similar.
Yeah, but CeeLo was a singer also.
Yeah.
So, but again, some of Kanye's stuff, I think some people wouldn't even consider hip hop from a musical standpoint. And I find him more interesting on the microphone when he does that stuff than when he's rapping. I don't know if it's the New York bias in me, but when I listen to rap, I like hearing rappers, guys who can freestyle, guys who can, like you said, notepad, all kinds of layers and the stuff that they do, various flows and stuff like that. Everybody I listen to is not like that, but that's really what I consider an MC. And for me, Kanye always just seemed like a guy who had a verse and the verse was okay, but
I never thought Kanye was a dope, like the dopest MC ever, but I didn't think he was whack. He was not whack. If anybody says Kanye West can't rap, I'd say they're crazy. Jay-Z, he wasn't Nas, but he was. I mean, he could rap.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, see, here's the thing, and this is the difference between like hip hop and actual singing, in my opinion, right? Part of the talent, in my opinion, is being the scribe, right? Is being the person who wrote and created the lyrics, and then put together the enunciation, put together the delivery. That's part of the whole thing to me. When you sing, it doesn't really matter who wrote it. If you sound good when you sing, that's it. Because it's like this. I could come up, say for instance, Nelson wrote me a verse, right? He just wrote me a verse and he hands me the pad. And I walk up to Matt. Matt doesn't know that Nelson wrote these lyrics. And I just spit these lyrics in front of Matt. Matt will be like, oh man, that was dope. You wrote that? That's awesome. You know, and it's just as dope because he thinks I wrote it. Now, if I walk up to Nelson, if I walk up to Matt and I just start singing a song that Nelson wrote, Matt's not going to ask me if I wrote that song. He's going to say, man, you can really sing.
Right.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
all that's going to happen.
Because singing is a musical talent and rapping is more of a literary talent.
Yes.
But here's the thing though.
With the musical
take a guy like someone like Dr. Dre. We know everything is ghost written for Dr. Dre. We know Jay-Z did some stuff for him. But if you didn't know that, you would be like, oh my gosh, Dr. Dre can really spit.
No, I would never.
He's got delivery and
I would never say
like
that.
he's got. But where I'm going with that is he's got.
I would say
like
that about Snoop Dogg.
He's got a good delivery. His delivery
okay.
is nice.
I've never liked
okay.
Dr. Dre's delivery.
Yeah, same here. I think he's okay.
Wow, I'm actually shocked at that.
And his raw. Now, I'm not saying I've never liked a Dr. Dre song because I
get that. Wow.
But I like his stuff in spite of his delivery.
Okay.
In spite of his rhymes, because
I actually like his delivery.
I mean, it's just it's like fifth grade stuff to me, really, in my opinion. That's how his stuff comes off. It has always came off that way to me. I'm talking about all the way back. You know what I mean?
I gotta ask you this. Being a hip hop dude, when he, Still DRE, first single off 2001.
Right. Did
you know that was Jay-Z who wrote that when he was spit? Like when you heard the track, oh, Jay-Z definitely wrote that for him.
I won't say I knew it immediately, but I knew Dre didn't write it. and the other thing
definitely, yeah. That's fair. That is definitely fair.
Now you gotta remember though, Jay-Z wasn't the full icon of an artist that he was at the time.
That's
but
true.
Then it was
fair
like
enough.
this. Once you found out that Jay-Z wrote it, you can hear Jay-Z in the song.
Yes. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
That's the thing. Now, before Jay-Z, though, Ice Cube and the DOC was writing Dr. Dre stuff.
Yes. Back when the NWA days, and then Snoop wrote some stuff for him, right?
That's how DOC got put on, period, because he was ghostwriting for Eazy-E and Dre in the early days, NWA. And that's how he got, and the DOC was amazing.
Hey,
but then he had the car accident that damaged his vocal cords.
Yeah, I gotta ask you, do most people know that the DOC was from Dallas?
I would say really deep hip hop fans.
Okay, and I don't mean to say that because I'm a Texas guy, but I'm just saying, do like a lot of people know he was actually from Dallas?
I think now here's one thing: do a lot of people know that he has a baby by Erykah Badu?
Nice. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Who's also from Dallas?
Yeah. Okay.
So. Like all of her shit, she had the funniest joke, and we can just about wrap it up after this. But I got to tell you this joke if you didn't hear it. Somebody came now. Okay, so she has a child by Andre 3000, Jay Electronica, the DOC. I think that's it, right? So someone asked her, "Who's your favorite rapper?" And she looked at him and she said, "You trying to mess with my child support?"
Hey, Brian, because you're the OG. You're the OG of all of us. I gotta ask you, of the three, who's the best rapper?
Of those three? Of DOC, Jay Electronica, and Andre 3000? Line for line?
I'll give you my answer.
Line for line.
I'll give you my answer.
Line for line, if you're trying to talk about just capabilities, I would say the DOC, but Andre 3000 is a better overall artist.
Yeah. Well, Andre's
that's what I would have said. I would have gone with Andre.
Andre because Andre lyrically is nice. He's always been nice. but he's more than, and he's just more than the DOC.
He's a
Like
musician.
Yeah,
comparing
yes,
Andre
he absolutely is.
Comparing Andre 3000 to DOC is almost like comparing.
Basically, like apples to oranges.
No, it's like comparing a dude who is a pure shooter to a guy who is a scorer.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
a
that's
scorer
fair.
puts the ball in the basket all different kinds of ways. He can shoot a little bit. He may not be able to shoot as well percentage-wise as the sharpshooter, but when you look at this box score at the end, he has 28 and the sharpshooter got 15. You know what I mean? Because he went to the free throw line, he's done all these things. And I think that's who Andre is when you compare him to the DOC. But Jay Electronica,
fair enough. I like it. Hey, Jay Electronica was nice. It's a damn shame he never put out an album.
Well, you know what? He's doing really well touring, from what I understand.
What was it? Was it Exhibit D, Exhibit C, whatever it was called?
Yeah, he's doing really well. Like him and guys like what's the guy's name? Oh my God. Wow, Tech Nine, dude. Tech Nine is killing it with little white kids in Denver, Colorado, and just touring in the air. I mean, he's killing it. He's killing it. And that's because that's the majority of because he said that. I saw an interview. He said the majority of my fans are 14-year-old white kids. He's like, if you go to a concert,
I'm not shocked.
He was like, if you go to one of my concerts, that's who's there. That's all who's there.
And there's nothing wrong with
that's who's there. So he's and Tech Nine actually is pretty talented, man. He had a song called Rock and Roller, where it's like a play on all these different metal band names because you can tell he really digs metal. And he's dropping the bop bop bop, dropping them, but he's interpolating them all with this hip hop delivery, and it's really a pretty cool song. So but gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to do this.
Great job, man.
I really thought I screwed up, but it's okay. I was gonna tell y'all,
you did a fantastic job.
I'll be glad when Nazar comes back and he can take the primary mic spot, and I will sit in the corner.
It's different, isn't it? I've hosted before. It's definitely real different.
And let somebody call my name.
Hosting is trust me, hosting is tough.
Man, I'm trying to tell you. But like I said, so Matt, can you tell everybody where they can find you moving forward?
Yes. Absolutely. You can find me on Matt UQR Podcast on Twitter, also on the PlayStation Network. Same thing, Matt UQR Podcast. If you want to get on a game of Play Now Online, well, not Play Now Online, but you want a 2K game, hit me up. We're going to actually do a podcast tomorrow night after the Warriors and the Rockets because I know that's a big game. We're going to talk about that game. We're also going to talk NBA All-Star because I know the starters are released. We're going to do some stuff on that. So I'll send all the links out and all that stuff on Twitter.
Sounds good. Nelson, I'm not going to even ask you because I'm assuming that if you got something you can share, you're going to share it automatically. So what's good? What's good moving forward?
You guys can find me at Nelson Blake 2 on Twitter. And that's mostly where I am these days. I have an Instagram, but everything I put on Instagram, I put up on Twitter. I put all my art links up there and stuff like that. If you guys are from Zeke's channel, you don't know who I am. I draw for Marvel Comics and stuff like that. I also draw for Image Comics and various other places. And that's what I'm doing these days right now. So that's pretty much it, man. The busy season is kicking back up. I had a nice little vacation period to end the year, but I'm watching my 2K time dwindling and my drawing time, rise back up. And also been getting really healthy after the holidays too, which also feels really good. My energy's way up, eating really well. So that's pretty much it, man. I hope you guys are all doing the same.
That is awesome. I'm going to tell you guys, though, for anybody who's not aware, and I'm not just saying this, like, honestly, I really think Nelson would be the type of person who could be an outstanding executive producer of a video game.
Oh, thanks so much, man.
Like the person that is in charge of the direction of the game. He has that blend that is a very, very rare blend of an actual sports fan and a sports level, a level-headed sports person who also delves off into the different concepts that helps to make other genres of video games successful. So he's a perfect person to bring the best of both worlds together to make a really unique video game that would more than likely be very successful on the esports scene, which is where things are going. So I pray that he gets that opportunity, because I believe
Yes.
that right there could be something that really allows even more people to see what he brings to the table, what it potentially he could bring to the table. So
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that.
hey, it's no problem.
He speaks the truth.
Hey, friends don't lie.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So yeah, and you guys know me. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you have not. Subscribe to my All Sports channel. It is in the link to the description.
Hit that like button.
Hit the like button. Hit like this.
Yes.
Bam! With your face. Like Chris Dunn on the floor. Don't knock yourself out. But
don't do that, people. Don't do that.
I'm at Unique Mazik on Twitter. I'm at Unique Mazik on Instagram too. I'm trying to motivate myself to post a picture of something from my phone. It's tough for me. It's tough for me because I don't use my phone the way a lot of people do. So, but that's it. I appreciate you guys watching as always. This has been Sim Hangout 86, and it's been my pleasure to be a part of however many of them I've been a part of. As always, God bless and peace.